From the Fans Talk Podcast family at fanstalkpodcast.com, this is episode 48 of Fans Talk TNA. My name is Garvin, and with us, as always, is Nick. Say hello, Nick.
I almost didn't find my way back here. That was scary.
It's been a while, for sure. But, honestly, it's because of you that we have returned this week to preview this Sunday's TNA Bound for Glory. As we've said just about every episode, if you enjoy this series and you want to see it continue, then step up and join the Squared Circle of Trust. For as little as $1 a month, you'll help us cover the cost of recording, hosting, and distributing our episodes, and you'll keep us motivated to keep coming back even if TNA doesn't. So head on over to fanstalktna.com right now, click the big green button, and subscribe today. Let your voice be heard, and your support is always appreciated. All right, Nick. Bound for Glory. It feels like forever that we've talked about TNA. We missed, I want to say, a majority of September.
Seems like it, yeah.
Yeah. So, but we heard you guys, and you wanted us to come back, to bring the show back. Quite a few of you from the Squared Circle of Trust, quite a few of you from Twitter and Facebook. So we are here to talk TNA Bound for Glory. In preparation, we did watch all of the TNA Impact episodes that we missed. So we are completely up to date on everything. We're not going to review individual episodes, but, we'll probably get into it as we preview Bound for Glory. So here's the card right now. Tigre Uno versus Andrew Everett versus DJZ versus Manic. It's an Ultimate X match for the TNA X Division Championship. We've got the Wolves versus Brian Myers and Trevor Lee for the Tag Team Championships. Gail Kim versus Awesome Kong for the Women's Knockout Championship. Abyss versus Aiden O'Shea versus Chris Melendez versus Eli Drake versus Jesse Goddard versus Mahabali Shera versus Mr. Anderson versus Robbie E versus Tyrus. And a Bound for Glory gauntlet match to earn a future TNA World Heavyweight Championship shot. Kurt Angle makes his big return to TNA. I believe it was officially not announced by TNA, but announced by Kurt Angle that this would be his last match in TNA. It's going to be against Eric Young, which I think is fitting, just considering everything that's gone on in storyline. Bobby Roode versus Lashley for the TNA King of the Mountain Championship. And in the main event, it is Ethan Carter III versus Drew Galloway versus Matt Hardy, and a triple threat match for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And Jeff Hardy is your special guest referee. So, Nick, out of all these matches, what match are you most looking forward to right now?
It's really hard for me to say anything but the X Division title match. First of all, you got Andrew Everett in there. He's an amazing athlete, amazing wrestler. He's a North Carolina boy, so I'm biased. And it says a lot of good things about TNA, bringing in outsiders to help beef up the X Division, to help make it jumping and thriving again. And it's awesome.
Yeah, I definitely like that. There was quite a bit of promotional material released by TNA as far as like video packages and stuff to build up Tigre Uno once again, and to build up the Ultimate X match, and of course, just the X Division itself. So I think overall, I do have I do share that same optimism that this could be it. This could be the time that they actually consider really pushing the X Division. But who knows? I mean, we've seen this kind of effort put into it. This is a great match on paper. As far as Tigre Uno, DJZ, and Manic go, I don't know much about Andrew Everett. I haven't really heard of him or about him. I didn't really do any research on him either, but just the fact that it's him versus the other three, it's still going to be a good match. I mean, I don't think we've ever had a bad Manic match.
No.
They've always looked good. DJZ is quality. So yeah, I think I'm with you that this will be a great match. I just, I don't want to be, I don't want to be too optimistic, thinking all right, this is them kickstarting the X Division once again. We'll see what happens. As far as the other matches go, I mean, I am looking forward to Kurt Angle versus Eric Young. I think that is going to be a good match as well. Just because, it also carries that heavier, importance, just because it is going to be Kurt Angle's last TNA match. And again, things could change, right? But, as far as everything that I've read and heard, I think he's made it pretty clear that this is it. And then he's going to be taking time off of wrestling for a while. And rightfully so. I mean, he's been injured, on and off over the last couple of years, and, just had that surgery. Like, this is his first match back since that surgery. So yeah, I think overall, knowing how these two work, this is going to be a quality match.
Yeah, it just makes me kind of sad that, this is Angle's last match, and EY is certainly a fitting opponent. I'm a little disappointed for EY just because he has been on fire as a heel lately, and he just lost against Melendez. He just got beat up by several different faces this past week. And now, in all likelihood, he's gonna lose to Angle on Angle's way out. I also think that maybe the truly fitting retirement match for Angle would be against EC3, considering that EC3's claim to fame over Angle is that he made him leave. Yeah. Kind of like EY. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Regardless, like you said, it should still be an excellent match. It's just, it is kind of sad that this will be, I guess, the end of an era of sorts.
Sure. And you're right. I mean, I would much rather it be Kurt Angle versus EC3. I think that would be a solid match. But, Eric Young's okay. Mm-hmm. What match are you least looking forward to?
It's a hard choice because on paper, these look like these all could be great. I guess I would pick the Gauntlet match just because, Gauntlet matches can be good, but with the talent involved, it's hard to say if that'll happen. It's just such a mixed bag. It's a lot of mid-carders. It's a couple of guys that have been up at the top, like Anderson and Abyss, and really, it's just so disparate that it's hard to call one way or the other about the quality of the match. So if I have to choose one, I'd probably go with that one.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think that's the obvious one, just because it is, just a bunch of people. And there's really, not one of these people I really have high hopes in the World Heavyweight Championship title race. Obviously I think I've made it pretty clear that, having Robbie E go for the title, especially after those video packages, earlier this year, I think that would be great. But, outside of that, I think it's too early for Eli Drake to be in that consideration. You've got Aiden O'Shea, who is just this random name that they've thrown in here. And everyone else is like, no, thank you.
Yeah, nobody's really being pushed in that direction.
Yeah. And Aiden O'Shea, you might remember him as Jay Bradley. He was part of the Gut Check 1 Gut Check, but, for whatever reason, they ended up dropping him. I thought he was a solid talent. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does this time around, but him winning this match is the least likely, the least likely option. So, but okay, let's get into it. We'll start off with the first match: Tigre Uno versus Andrew Everett versus DJZ and Manic. Ultimate X match for the TNA X Division Championship. Who you got, Nick?
Not to say anything bad about his reign, Tigre Uno has been a decent champion. He hasn't had a bad match at all since he won the belt. And, he's done well with what he's been given. But, when he had his match against Kenny King just recently, most of the crowd was chanting for Kenny. And it seems like he's been struggling to find a place in the crowd's heart. So I think they're going to take the belt off him. As much as I'd love to see DJZ or Andrew Everett even win the belt, I think it's most likely that Manic will. Because, he's just turned face. He's just gotten that push from the crowd. And I think this would be a great way to capitalize on that.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing where he was a victim to really bad and inconsistent booking, because when he had a match on TV, it was great, but that wasn't very often. Yeah, that was not very often. And, while he did get some exposure with the whole GFW versus TNA, angle that was happening, it still really wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to show that the X Division is strong, because really, for a strong champion, you need a strong group of guys going after that title. So, because they really haven't pushed a whole lot of consistent challenge over him, it's been really lame. It's been really lame. And I go back to the video packages that we got with him. On one hand, it was good that we saw the human side of him, but at the same time, like, I don't feel like that really built him up to be a great champion. It built him up to be, a halfway decent human being, but, to really tell that story, you needed him in the ring, and they just didn't give it to him. So, out of these guys, while, yeah, I'm with you, I'd like to see Tigre Uno win, just because of, he just hasn't really had that competition to really define his reign. But I'm gonna have to go with Manic. I think Manic wins as well. Just that he was one of the main catalysts for the breakup of the Revolution, which we finally saw, which was awesome. And yeah, it seems like now he's got that push, and the crowd is completely behind him, although they're not necessarily behind Manic. They're behind TJP. That's all the crowd was chanting. So, but yeah, I'm with you. I want Manic as well. Okay. For the tag team championships, we've got the Wolves versus Brian Myers and Trevor Lee. Nick, I'm hoping you could make some sense out of this match, because I was pretty certain that GFW lost, therefore they had to leave TNA.
Yes, but legally speaking, contractually speaking, Brian Myers and Trevor Lee are owed a rematch. So that's how they got back into it.
Okay. I missed that, but that makes sense. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you for that explanation, because like I said, I missed it. So Wolves versus Brian Myers and Trevor Lee should be a really good match.
Absolutely. And the way that they reintroduced Trevor Lee in this week's X Division match, the fact that he won, and they really didn't harp on his role in the GFW invasion.
No, not at all.
So, it makes me kind of wonder. They said that the GFW team of Brian Myers and Trevor Lee finagled their way back into the company and got them and reminded everybody that they have a rematch, but it makes me think that they're going to start casting Brian Myers and Trevor Lee as just mercenaries, outsiders, just roaming from company to company looking for work. And yeah, it makes me think that in order to establish them here in TNA, in order to give the Wolves some competition, that Brian Myers and Trevor Lee are going to take the titles back.
I do like that idea. I mean, the Wolves have been good, but again, I feel like they are in the same boat as Tigre Uno. Tigre Uno is facing the same guys each and every week, it seems, outside of the GFW stuff. But the Wolves, that's all they've had is the GFW guys. So it's really just been either the Wolves versus a bunch of GFW guys alongside TNA, or the Wolves versus Brian Myers and Trevor Lee. So it's another thing where if we had some stronger competition in the tag team division on the TNA side, it would really strengthen the credibility of these titles. But as it stands right now, I'm tired of the Wolves. I don't, I'm just tired of it, because there's nothing keeping me interested as long as they're booked the way they have been.
Yeah, it's just a matter of overexposure.
Yeah. So, however, at the same time, while I do like the idea of Brian Myers and Trevor Lee being like these outsiders or mercenaries, or maybe defectants of is that a word? Defectors.
Defectors.
Defectors. There we go. Defectors of GFW, I don't know. I like that idea. I would love for them to stay in TNA because I do enjoy seeing them on my TV, but I don't see them taking the titles away. Not here at Bound for Glory. So I'm going to go with the Wolves. All right, up next we have a match that I think we've all been looking forward to every time that it's happened, and that is Gail Kim versus Awesome Kong, and the TNA Women's Knockout Championship is on the line. Is this Awesome Kong's opportunity to take the title home?
I think so. She's had a number of roadblocks since she's come back. First, there was Taryn Terrell bringing in the Dollhouse to retain her title. And then she got sidetracked with GFW and Lady Tapa. Now there's nothing standing in her way. The Dollhouse isn't an obstacle anymore. The beautiful people are taking care of them. So Kong is free to pursue the title as she wishes. And I think it is a little bit of a shame to have the belt taken off of Gail this soon, but the way they're booking this, I don't see any other outcome than Kong winning the belt.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a shame. Gail Kim is by far the best wrestler on the roster, and yeah, I would hate to see her lose the title so soon. But if they're going to do that, Awesome Kong is the perfect person to take it off of her. I mean, it's most likely the best booking decision that TNA will make tonight, or at Bound for Glory, just because of the fact of how powerful and intimidating Awesome Kong could be. The idea of her holding the title and defending that against the rest of the knockouts, that to me is intriguing, just because it forces Kong to remain on TV each and every week. Mm-hmm. And that's something that TNA hasn't been able to do with their champions, with their knockouts champions. So, at least in a long time. So, all right. I'm going to go with Awesome Kong as well. Again, I would love to see Gail Kim retain, but you gotta pull the trigger on this. All right. We've got the Bound for Gold gauntlet. Was that right? It's not the Bound for Glory?
No, Bound for Gold, actually, yeah.
I think I misspoke when I introduced this match. Bound for Gold gauntlet match for a future TNA World Heavyweight Championship title shot. So, bunch of names in here. I'm not going to read them again. Who you got?
Honestly, I'm leaning towards Abyss. It's weird that the best thing the Revolution ever did for any of its members was to fold and break up, because it looks like Mannequin and Abyss, at least, are on an upward trajectory. The way that Abyss told Storm to get stuffed and reminded everybody he is a TNA original apparently, because he had to emphasize original. He's a monster that destroys who he wants when he wants. He's not taking orders. He's not standing in anybody's shadow. He is his own monster, and he's going to wreak havoc as he wills. And if Bound for Glory goes the way that I think it will, Abyss could potentially present a very formidable opponent for the World Heavyweight Champion. I'm trying to avoid spoilers for my predictions. But yeah, it's just out of all these names, he's been at the top of the mountain before. He's not as tired of a character as Mr. Anderson. So yeah, I think he's most likely one, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Abyss is a good name just because of how the whole Revolution story ended. Mahabali Shera is another name that, I think could easily be put into this spot because they are pushing this kind of like crazy. Like, by the way, did you take your what was it? Hashtag Shera Shimmy? Shera?
Oh, Shera Shake.
Shera Shake. Did you take your Shera Shake Instagram video?
No, I did not. I do not do Instagram, actually. So, no.
Did you put it on Twitter then?
I did not.
Facebook?
I don't shake.
Well, okay. I won't argue. Yeah, I did not either. I thought that was a funny use of a hashtag. Like, they don't promote hashtags very often anymore, at least verbally. You might see the hashtag on top left corner of the screen. But yeah,
I appreciate that about them, by the way.
It's just, I don't know. It's just so cheesy. Like, I just don't understand, like, or I don't get the appeal of being cheesy at this point with a guy that could easily be a destructive force in any, capacity that they put him in. So
I think it's just a way to make him an obvious face. Like, when he's facing off against Storm, yeah, it's easy to make that distinction, but if this week was where they ended with Storm and they want to keep him face, I think it's kind of hard to do that without giving him something that's obviously and unabashedly a face move, like a ridiculous dance.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, I don't know. Obviously, I'm a cracker from Cleveland, but I'm curious if that is like a cool move, like a cool dance move in India. Like, if all the cool guys do that move. 'Cause I couldn't imagine.
It does strike me as a very Bollywood thing.
Oh, that's true too.
All I know is that I was scared to death to see Al Snow doing it. That was scary.
You know what? Okay. By the way, of people doing it, they had Abyss doing that in the center of the ring during their match. But just as he was about to start, like, you saw him fold his hands in the start to move, and they cut the camera away. Like, that was a perfect heel, like, attack against Mahabali Shah. I was surprised that they cut the camera so quickly.
Yeah. They've made a few questionable decisions with camera work over the last few weeks.
Ah, man. All right. So yeah, I'm with you, Mr. Anderson. No, please, no. I think Eli Drake is an underdog here. I think I could easily see him steal a win as well, especially if they make a title move with Drew Galloway.
Yeah, that is a possibility.
I think that would be a very interesting feud, and they both came in right around the same time, so it's not absurd to think, if Drew walks away, that they'd have another new guy compete for the title at some point. I mean, you never know when that some point is. It could be 6 months from now, So
yeah.
But okay, I'm gonna go with Robbie E. I gotta do it. I gotta. Anytime I see Robbie E have a chance to go into a title shot for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, I gotta give it to him. Just
keep on believing.
Crossing my fingers that they do it. They finally do it. All right. Now we are in the bottom 3 matches of the card. Basically, your biggest matches of the night. We're going to start off with Kurt Angle versus Eric Young. Your thoughts that Kurt Angle didn't return to TV to announce his return. It was Dixie Carter announced his return to EY backstage. So, thoughts? Are you cool with this being his return match?
I think it works, and I think the way they announced it is acceptable. Obviously, it is a letdown, because, there was the potential for Angle to come out, just hit his music in the middle of EC3 raving about God mode, and, the roof would have come off the place. But maybe there were some kind of considerations at the time of the taping that maybe it wasn't for sure at that time. Maybe they kind of took a gamble and announced it, and should Angle not be ready, maybe they could have found some way to edit that in post or to fix that and make another arrangement. It just feels like they were kind of hedging their bets with it. Yeah. With that said, again, I think the way they did it is acceptable.
Okay. I like it too. I mean, while I think it would make more sense to have Angle appear on TV as far as getting that reaction from EY, getting that reaction from the crowd, but, you got to figure timeline here too. I mean, I could be wrong, but he was probably still in the hospital at the time that they taped this. So,
yeah. Right?
I mean, it was like months ago, I feel. I could be wrong.
Probably was. If he wasn't in the hospital, he was probably at home recovering.
Yeah. So, but I do like the match. I think this is a great match. They both work very well together. both on the brawler side as well as the submission side. So, I'm looking forward to this. I think this is going to be probably one of my favorite matches of the night. But again, it is sad to think that this is Angle's final match in TNA. And, that could not actually be accurate. So here's the thing, like, Kurt Angle, he didn't say he would never re-sign to TNA. I just pulled up the statement while you were talking, and he basically just said, after my contract is over, I'm not going to re-sign with TNA. I'm going to take some time off, a sabbatical, if you will, from wrestling. So it's quite possible we might see him in TNA again. I think if he's going to make a move, it would have to be WWE. He needs at least one more match over there. He's 46 and, he does not want to have any more surgeries. So I can't see him re-signing with TNA in a capacity that sees him wrestle a whole lot.
If he doesn't re-sign with TNA, I think this will be his last match.
Yeah.
Like, anywhere. Because I really don't see the WWE letting him inside of the ring to wrestle. Sting is one thing. Even though he's over 50, he hasn't had serious injuries the way that Angle has.
Yeah.
Angle might still be able to wrestle like a demon when he's healthy, but, he's had so many neck surgeries, and he had a tumor, and I think Vince would react to the thought of Angle stepping into the ring like he reacts to the thought of UFC, is somebody could die in there. So, yeah, if he doesn't come back to TNA, I think this is it.
I don't know, though. I mean, I definitely don't see him returning to TNA. I mean, I'm with you. I feel like this is it. This is gonna be his last match ever in TNA. But I do see one last match in WWE. And the thing is that, we don't know how long this sabbatical is. If he takes 2 years off, takes a year and just rests, like, I don't think he's ever done that. So to rest everything, and then, so like, let's say he rests for a year and then works out and gets back in shape for 6 months, I could easily see him not necessarily main event WrestleMania, but, you do have those dream matches as far as Angle versus Daniel Bryan, if they ever let Daniel Bryan back in the ring, or Angle versus anyone. I mean, he could go toe-to-toe with just about anyone on that roster, and it'd be a good match outside of Big Show.
Yeah, I guess I could see a match with Daniel Bryan where they just don't bump for each other. Like, there's just no bumping at all. Truth Martini did that for years after he fucked up his neck, so maybe.
All right, well, enough of this talk. I'm going to go with Kurt Angle. You're also going to go with Kurt Angle?
Yes, same.
Okay. Mm-hmm. The TNA King of the Mountain Championship is on the line as Bobby Roode takes on Bobby Lashley. It's either going to be Bobby versus Bobby or Roode versus Lashley, however you want to look at it, as Lashley put it this week. They both respect each other very much.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like this match? Do you think this is Bound for Glory quality title match? Is this the best option for either of these guys?
I think so. Maybe I could make an argument for Roode versus EY, but, then there's a question of what you do with Angle. EC3 is already occupied, so, yeah, since they booked the way they did, this is easily the best you could do for these two guys. And, it's definitely not like we're settling. This is going to be a great match. Every time these two have faced off before, it was a great match. And since they're both faces, since this is just a spirited competition, you got the chance to have the best match yet between these two. And I'm going to predict that Roode wins, but I think it's going to be very close.
I think as far as Lashley goes, I do think this is the best for him. Bobby Roode's going to give him a great match. Having him in a large title picture, I think it's still good. Bobby Roode, though, I like Monday morning fantasy booking. Like I probably would have done this a lot better. But I feel the same way about a lot of things. But I don't know. I think there was other options there that you could have done if they had booked constructively, progressively. I mean, just think this. I mean, this is our biggest pay-per-view. Just think if James Storm and the Revolution actually did something productive, how much of a monster they could have built James Storm to be. James Storm versus Bobby Roode. Like that's the type of thing that I think would have been great to have here. You just have two guys now. I mean, it's going to be a good match, but you just have two guys who respect each other, and that's it. That's there isn't much of a reason. He put an open challenge out, and Lashley was the first one to walk through the curtain. Like that's how they set it up. It just seems kind of,
I think they wasted an opportunity with going ahead and booking that match, this last Impact, instead of just leaving the open challenge out there and having the challenger make his first appearance at Bound for Glory. I think the surprise would have added to the build for the match. The question of, well, we've had challengers from outside the company for this title before. People from outside the company have held this title before. Maybe somebody from GFW or just some complete stranger to the company just comes in and has a one-off. They've kind of set that trend with Bound for Glory, in fact. Having it down in Texas and having the Von Erichs make an appearance and things like that. I think they wasted an opportunity. Even if they just stuck with Roode and Lashley, just having Lashley's music hit and having people get excited. I think they wasted that opportunity. But that's the only bad thing I could say about this.
So who you got?
Roode. I think he's going to retain. I think it's just too soon to have him drop it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, especially how they put him in this picture. So yeah, I'm with you. Roode wins. I wish I cared more about this match. Again, like you said, it's going to be a good match, but there's just really nothing there. And that leads us to our main event. It's a triple threat match for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Ethan Carter III versus Drew Galloway versus Matt Hardy, and Jeff Hardy is the special guest referee. So before we go into predictions, I just want to hear your thoughts about how this story has gone, because as everyone knows, we didn't do 2 weeks worth of episodes here on Fans Talk TNA. So we just you and I both we binge watched like 3 episodes in a couple of days just to catch up. So we had Matt Hardy losing, thus Jeff Hardy became Ethan Carter III's assistant. Jeff Hardy ended up quitting 2 episodes later, and then Matt Hardy is back in the title picture even though he keeps losing. So just your thoughts on that part of the story.
I'm over Matt for champ. I always thought it was just filler until somebody better came along, like Galloway. And I understand the appeal of Dixie throwing somebody at her nephew that has just been a thorn in his side. And despite his continual losses, Matt has been that thorn in his side. But yeah, I'm just over that. The Drew Galloway side of things, I have loved. I have loved his fight against GFW. I'm super glad that he's getting this sort of nod. The EC3 side of things, it hasn't been great. I enjoy the antics. I enjoy the way Tyrus has stepped up to the plate in terms of character work. But this personal assistant angle with Jeff Hardy, it went nowhere. It didn't make sense. Jeff didn't do anything with it. It just could have been so much better than it has been. And, having Jeff Hardy be the special guest referee, putting Matt Hardy in the main event, it's North Carolina. I get the appeal for that. I don't think TNA fully understands what they're doing with it, though, because Charlotte, North Carolina, and the surrounding area, that's not Hardy country. That's Flair country. Hardy country is out east. Like, we don't care as much about the Hardys. Yeah, North Carolina pride and everything, but different area.
It's close.
That's like saying if you're from Pittsburgh, you should really love anybody from Philly.
It's like the UK. Everyone's like at least, no more than 20 minutes away from London.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody in the UK just loves Drew Galloway, and when somebody from the UK comes up to Scotland, they love him. Yeah, it's just, it feels like too much fan service for too little reward.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you on Matt Hardy being done with him. I think it was an interesting idea. I don't understand why it's lasted so long, though. It's odd. Like, when they were building up EC3 and his dominance and what he could do, he took out guys like Sting. He took out guys like Bully Ray. He took out guys like Kurt Angle. And then he moved on. He moved on and did something else. And now Matt Hardy has had 3 different rematches. Now he has another rematch. It was like a random entry. Like, here, I'm going to stick it to you, Ethan Carter, like Dixie, just trying to stick it to EC3 by putting Matt Hardy in who he's beaten every time. Like that, whatever. So, I'm with you. I think if they were going to do something good with Jeff Hardy, they could have done a lot better. Like, have him be there longer than 2 weeks. Like, how does Jeff Hardy quit in 2 weeks? Like, what was, like, wasn't the stipulation that he was forced to do that? Like, he couldn't just choose, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah, that's the understanding. And like, it'd be one thing if Jeff did as he was told and obeyed both the spirit of the law as well as the letter of the law. He doesn't have to be happy about it, but, he shouldn't be balking at every little thing the way he did right from the get-go.
Yeah.
I don't mind it being short. I just wish they'd actually told the story somewhat sensibly.
Yeah, like, have him suffer.
Yeah, not, like, at least suffer consequences for refusing to do what he's told.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So anyways, Jeff Hardy is your special guest referee. Picks. Did you give your pick?
No, I didn't.
Okay, let's talk about it.
I believe that they're going to continue this push with Galloway and have him take the belt from EC3. Bound for Glory is the biggest event of the year. EC3's on, he's been unstoppable. Undefeated since day one. And, that's great. And if you want to give somebody else that sort of nod to elevate them to that same status, I think Bound for Glory is the place to do it.
I don't object with your logic, but I will be really disappointed if that's what happens, because the thing is like, yeah, I mean, they've built Drew Galloway amazingly as far as like, he pretty much took out, MVP and his crew. I mean, that's not quite what happened, but that was, how it was, implied.
That's kind of how it ended up.
Yeah. And then you've got, I mean, he was the major force versus GFW. He was the guy. He was TNA's guy. So I think they've built him so well, but it is really quick to go from that, like from a storytelling standpoint, to go from that to getting a title shot just a week or two later, and then winning the title over a guy who has never been defeated.
I agree with you. It is fast from the solidification of his role as TNA's champion to becoming, their actual champion. But consider the way they told the story. From the get-go, when GFW made its intentions clear, EC3 should have been the one stepping up. He is their champion. He's
right.
a Carter. It's his company. He should be at the front line fighting that fight.
Yeah.
But, he told everybody to screw off. Dixie had disregarded his feelings about Jeff Jarrett, so he threw a tantrum and decided, to hell with both of you, a pox on both your houses, I'm out. And Drew stepped up. So, he stood up, actually. And the way Drew has kept doing that over and over throughout the course of his career, really. He's been Dixie's guy. He's been TNA's guy. I think it kind of overcomes that inherent, maybe not flaw, but inherent speeding along of the storytelling.
So this is really illuminating, for me at least, the problem with making every edition of Impact significant by a label or by, a set of stipulations or whatever, is that this match for a quality story needed at least 3 to 4 weeks to build, to go as your main event for your biggest event of the year. But because they had the whole GFW versus TNA thing, and that was the focus up until, last week or 2 weeks ago, I mean, it almost as if this is, and I'm talking about Bound for Glory, not this match specifically, but Bound for Glory, it just seems like another episode of Impact.
I see what you're saying. It does feel kind of soon. It almost feels like the way WWE is doing its pay-per-views, like its summer pay-per-view, just cramming everything in there. It's just giving 2 weeks to build to a big show. And I definitely see what you're saying too, as well, with making every edition of Impact significant. It's really hard to build a crescendo when, you're trying to make every week a crescendo and it's already at such a high volume. So yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from there.
I'm going to go with EC3. I like the idea of Drew Galloway being champion eventually, but I need a good story. I need something to be entertained by for this build. And I just don't think it is. I mean, I don't know. It's just not doing it for me, but I've got to go with EC3. He hasn't really had a credible challenger, and you could say whatever you want about Matt Hardy, but he really hasn't had
Rockstar Spud.
Or Rockstar Spud, yeah, but he really hasn't had a credible challenger in a long time.
Let me pose you this question. If not here, TNA's biggest show of the year, then when do they pull that trigger on Drew Galloway? Especially if you take into account all the rumors and nonsense about TNA going away.
Well, I mean, if you read a lot of the stories, that had, or not stories, but like opinions basically that have been posted, over the last couple of days, many are predicting this to be TNA's last televised event. And if that's the case, I think that was the first time I said, if that's the case, as far as just the idea that TNA was going to end. Hold on a second. Let me think about this.
As far as televised, they use that word specifically, televised event, or are they talking about pay-per-view?
There's no Impact after this.
Yeah, they've got Impact scheduled for afterward.
For real?
Yeah, on the website for the 7th or 14th.
I gotta stop reading these damn sites.
Yeah, I mean, they've got tour dates for after Bound for Glory.
Well, I've seen the tour dates, but I haven't seen, the Impact tapings or the, actual schedule from Destination America. But I could be wrong. But if we were to listen to what's being written out there, who would you rather be the final champion? For me, it's EC3. I mean, Drew Galloway, moving forward with the future, I'd put Drew Galloway there, but I wouldn't pull the trigger right now.
I would want TNA to go out on a high note with the stories all having happy endings. And to me, it almost seems like that's what Bound for Glory is. If not necessarily going out on a high note, but having a feel-good show. Like, they just went through all this shit with GFW. Before that, they had that shit with the BDC. Like, they just been going through battle after battle after battle. And I think TNA fans need a feel-good show. Like, ostensibly, you're gonna have a face win the X Division title. You're gonna have, maybe not a face, but not a heel either, win the Knockouts Championship. You'll probably have a face win the Gauntlet match. Even if Abyss wins, he's technically a face right now. Angle's definitely gonna win. That's a easy face win. And you're gonna have a face come out as King of the Mountain. So, if they're booking the way I think they're booking, they want to have essentially as close a thing to a face sweep as they can get.
Okay. I'm thinking back to my really terrible memory, and maybe it wasn't televised event. Maybe it was final pay-per-view. Maybe that's what was being suggested. Because I did just go to Destination America's website, see the schedule, and they are on the schedule for next Wednesday. So,
yeah, I think they went ahead and announced that airing Impacts all the way through at least to the end of the year, regardless of whether a contract is re-signed or not. Like, I think that's what they said.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's take a step back. Let's finish this. I'm going to stick with EC3 to retain. I do like Drew Galloway. I think eventually champion, but it's too soon. I think that's a disservice to the story that they've been telling with EC3.
Do you foresee any shenanigans with the Hardys? As Squared Circle of Trust members have been saying, like beanbags, what if there's a heel turn?
Yeah, one Hardy has to turn, and I think this was what Beanbag suggested, but a Jeff Hardy turn against Matt Hardy, I think that would be great. I'd be totally for that. You know, and it is interesting, if the last Impact, Matt Hardy said something really interesting when he was backstage with Drew Galloway. And I don't know if you heard this, Nick, and I don't know if you've heard this either, but Matt Hardy told Drew Galloway that he couldn't think of a better partner to tag with than Drew Galloway. He said that.
Yeah, I mean, I see where you're going with that. Honestly, I think he said that because Jeff was technically fired, like not in the company.
Sure.
But I can totally see where you're going with that.
I'm just saying, if you needed an explanation, that's explanation enough, isn't it?
That's one way you could go with that. Another way, I think, is Jeff blaming Matt for getting him in the situation with EC3 to begin with. Like, you lost, you let me down, you son of a bitch. Now I'm gonna make sure you never get anywhere again.
Yeah, I like that too. I mean, and you could do a combination of the two. You can, you know, and who knows? Like, maybe they've been planting seeds like this for longer. I just remember hearing that specific thing. It just caught me by surprise. Like, I wasn't expecting him to say something like that. So
I just hope they don't do something stupid like Jeff blames Matt for like sabotaging his bike so he broke his leg. Like, nothing ridiculous like they did back in the WWE when Matt turned heel and said, I was the one to burn down your house, Jeff. It was me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you do have some obvious things that are already in the story as far as, you know, like you said, Matt losing the match. Therefore, Jeff Hardy had to become the assistant and thus getting fired. As well as him, you know, basically saying Drew was better than Jeff. So I think they've got to go, if this is going to happen, if there is a heel turn, Jeff Hardy turns heel, it's got to be because of that. And yeah, not some junk like him being the cause of the motorcycle accident, or, you know, maybe even like the public, you know, showing of the video that caused it, like, you know, he should have been more sensitive or, you know, whatever. I don't know, some stupid shit. So yeah, I'm with you though. But I don't see a heel turn, but I would like it.
Yeah. I don't necessarily like heel Jeff Hardy because the last time he was heel, we got a horned metal mask and an ugly as hell title belt. And, you know, I just don't have many fond memories of that. If a Hardy did have to turn heel, I really wish it could be Matt. Because he's just such a stronger heel, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, another thing, real quick, and we'll move on. Maybe this was all a ruse, right? Maybe EC3 didn't let Jeff quit. Like, maybe Jeff, like, he quit, right? But it wasn't real. It wasn't a real quit. They conspired on this because Jeff, in fact, does need this job, and EC3 was willing to pay him more than, you know, Dixie to ref this match. So, you know, maybe Jeff Hardy does turn on Matt, but it has more to do than just, you know, him being upset with his brother, but the fact that, you know, he needs this job. Because that keeps Matt sympathetic in some way. Or I'm sorry, it keeps Jeff sympathetic in some way. But I think that's an interesting angle. I think that's an interesting way to keep, you know, just something new to do with Jeff. Cause the same old stuff with him is just boring.
Yeah, that would be pretty ingenious, I think.
Fantasy booking. Let's do it. Let's do it, TNA. Let's do it. All right. Once again, this episode of Fans Talk TNA has been brought to you by our friends at patreon.com/Fans Talk. Because of their support, we've begun to raise enough money to keep this series as well as the rest of the series we do on Fans Talk Podcast.com funded. But we're not quite there yet. Join the Squared Circle of Trust today and give us the motivation to keep talking about Impact Wrestling each and every week. Patreon.com/Fans Talk. And I paused, Nick.
Oh, yeah?
I said, hold. Let's wait to talk about this thing. What was it? What did I tell you to wait on?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. That's fine. It'll come back to us later. So, we'll save that for next week. Right now, let's do wins and fails of the last 3 weeks. Nick, what was your win, or wins, rather, of the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, I've got a few that have been piling up. Honorable mention goes to Jeff Jarrett for the one spot in that Lethal Lockdown match where he's trying to crawl through the camera hole and he's begging Karen not to let them take him.
Yeah.
I love that moment. It was hilarious. It does seem like we're getting a vibrant and thriving X Division again. For the past few weeks, we've had an X Division match every week. We even had an X Division match that had absolutely nothing to do with the title. It was just fun. We had DJZ, Tommaso Ciampa. That was a surprise. Yeah. And Trevor Lee.
By the way, just quick fun fact, Tommaso Ciampa was on both NXT and Impact Wrestling on the same night.
Yeah, that was fun. Also, Jade getting the nod as top doll, I guess you could say. It's nice to see her getting a little bit of recognition and, the catalyst for that. The chair shot to Angelina that took her out. I like that she's getting a little more attention, a little more time to show what she can do. Because that title match with Gail Kim was a great match. Not even great for knockouts, just great, period. And finally, EY's heel work has just been magnificent. There is so much flair in that guy right now. It's unreal. And it's awesome. Just that moment where he's backstage, just ranting about how nobody can touch him. I don't care if you send 20, 30, 50, 100 people at me. Man, woman, child, I will break all of you. And I really enjoy that. He's been on fire.
Yeah, I agree. I really do like EY. EY versus Angle is my immediate win. Just because I think the match is going to be great. It really does put us in a good position to really enjoy something, at Bound for Glory, but also to really celebrate Kurt Angle's career. So I think EY is a great matchup for us, especially. And yeah, so that's my major win. The other major win that I have is, the Revolution being over.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone. Done. Thank the Lord. I think the only problem that I have with this is that they ended it before Bound for Glory. Like, this would have been a perfect match for Bound for Glory. Mahabali Shera finally getting his hands on James Storm.
Yeah, I definitely feel you. It does seem a little premature. But, like you said, it's certainly not a bad thing that it's over. It's a shame it didn't go anywhere, but it's been begging for a mercy killing.
Fails. Which fail of the last 3 weeks, Nick?
Yeah, I just gotta give it once more to EC3 and Jeff Hardy. That whole thing didn't go anywhere. It didn't make sense. Fantasy booking aside. And that goes for Hardy's being in the main event as well. Both of them for Bound for Glory. Again, I get what TNA is going for, but I feel like they missed the mark. Maybe if this had been in Raleigh, that'd be different. But, it just feels like they're trying too hard and they don't get it.
Yeah. Either way,
fantasy booking notwithstanding.
Yeah. Either way, it's a good 10 and a half hour drive for me. So, I mean, makes no difference. It's good. They're close. My fails, the end of GFW versus TNA. I was really hoping that TNA would do something properly, or at least try and, pull something good out of this. But it just felt lame. Like a lot of good build up for a one and done match, basically. And, yeah, I don't know. I would have much rather liked to see GFW take over, at least, for a brief moment, couple of weeks, especially heading into Bound for Glory. Like, what does the landscape look like at Bound for Glory without, with TNA and GFW's control? I mean, that's has the potential of being compelling, and what they did was not. Also, Bram's really strange, and mostly unexplained joining of Team TNA. Like, that's your fifth guy?
Yeah.
What?
I think there were just other guys that made sense.
Chris Melendez makes more sense than Bram.
Yeah. I mean, at least he had a match during the thing that was at least remotely connected to the ongoing TNA versus GFW struggle. Yeah, I'm with you. On one hand, it kind of makes sense if you're really in trouble and you need somebody that just wreaks havoc. Bram kind of comes to mind, but why would he care?
Yeah, why does he care? Chris Melendez versus EY was still happening as of last week, so there's that. One more match, maybe. This is more of a nitpicky type of thing. This isn't a real Phil, but still, I think it needs to be said. When Manic unmasked, the crowd started chanting TJP. I mean, they know this is TJ Perkins. He is TJ Perkins basically on Twitter. Like, why do we need to keep the Manic thing now? That was him under the mask. He doesn't have the mask anymore. It's TJ Perkins. Just call him TJ Perkins.
Yeah, I do wonder if they are going to start calling him that. Like, maybe they're still using the brand recognition, I guess. Or maybe they'll go back to another mask. I don't know. But, yeah, I'm with you. It is a little nitpicky, but yeah, it's just inconsistent, so.
All right, so those are our wins and fails of the last 3 weeks. Feel free to let us know what you liked and what you didn't like as well. You can leave comments on fanstalktna.com. You can also send us comments over Twitter and Facebook and Google Plus and YouTube. YouTube is a big source for comments. And if you are a Squared Circle of Trust member, definitely put your thoughts in the Slack community. Beanbags has been doing that. It's been fantastic. For our final thoughts, Nick, I think I'd like to hear what your overall outlook is for Fans Talk TNA, because obviously, the future of this series is in question. We came back for Bound for Glory. I mean, that was the main reason why we did this. Otherwise, if Bound for Glory wasn't happening this week, we might have gone another week without doing it. So, plus, quite a few of you did step up and did motivate us to do this again. But I'm curious, after binge watching 3 episodes over the last couple of days, are you happy enough with where TNA is and what they produced in those 3 episodes to consider coming back next week? Or do you think you're leaning towards skipping?
Honestly, TNA, at least in the short term, is presenting enough for me to be interested. Yeah, I've got issues with how they've been handling the top title storyline, and I don't necessarily agree with some of their decisions going into Bound for Glory. But, between what I'm seeing with the tag title scene, the X Division title scene, what's going on the Knockouts division, and frankly, what a lot of you guys out there, the Squared Circle of Trust on Twitter, on Facebook, have been saying about how, you enjoy listening to me and Garvin fantasy book TNA and respond to what's going on. That's heartening. And I'm glad a lot of you out there apparently enjoy what we talk about and how we talk about it. So, yeah, I think if TNA continues on this track, at least in the short term, hopefully in the long term, yeah, I think I would definitely like to do more of this.
And just to add on that, I feel the same way. I mean, as far as, you stepping up to tell us that you enjoy the show and you want us to continue, that was very, very much appreciated. But this time, tell us in a couple of days. Don't wait like a week and a half to say, hey, where's Fans Talk TNA? Cause that was like, when we heard nothing for like a week, it was like, all right, well, that answers that.
Well then.
So, yeah, don't wait so long. But, yeah, overall, I don't know. I'm still not enjoying everything I'm watching. I'm still not enjoying a majority of what I'm watching, but I will say that it was nice to have 3 episodes to watch in a span of 2 days. Like just the ability to binge watch and watch from week to week to week in a matter of, 12 hours or however long in between I watched. So, I thought that was nice. It put it in like a little bit of a different perspective. You could see where stories were going and there wasn't that full week in between. So I don't know, like I'm leaning towards yes, return. I want to hear from you though. If you want us to continue. I mean, I think now that we've previewed Bound for Glory, we might as well review it. But after that, I don't know. We'll see. Fans Talk TNA is part of the Fans Talk podcast family and can be found at fanstalktna.com. The Fans Talk podcast family is a subsidiary of Tigar Creative LLC. This series, as well as the rest of the podcast, released through fanstalkpodcast.com or supported exclusively by our Patreon subscribers. You can subscribe today for as little as $1 a month to receive early access to our content as well as exclusive content. For Nick, I'm Garvin. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to hearing your feedback. Later!